folks, welcome to Time to Talk with Jonathan Cook. So I've just spent a really enjoyable hour and a bit chatting to Jonathan Cook all about Indigo collar tags, which are the little metal tags that I have on my dog's collars, and how they came about and what they're used for. And then we talked about Dora's dairy and raw milk, which is something that I'm really excited to try because it's got massive health properties, good health properties related to it. So we chatted about raw milk, and then we went on to nutrition, talked about a few podcasts and a few audiobooks as well, and it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting to him, and I hope you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed doing it. So take care, have fun, and stay safe. Bye-bye. Hi folks, I'm here with Jonathan Cook from Indigo Collar Tags and also Dora's Dairy, and I've been so looking forward to talking to you because I want to find out all about raw milk. It's just really exciting. It's a really exciting thing to talk about. But first, I want to ask you about your involvement with dogs and how these amazing collar tags are meant. Have you got any with you?
I can certainly get one. Do you want me to completely get one?
I can grab one because I've got some in the cupboard behind me.
Oh no, I've got one.
Cool. That was well planned and well organised, wasn't it? I'm so well organised on these podcasts, honestly. So I want you to tell us about these first, because this is how I first came about you, John. Although it feels really funny calling you John because I've always called you Jonathan in my head.
Jonathan's fine. I answer to all sorts of names.
Tell me about Indigo collar tags and why Indigo?
Okay, Indigo's easy because that was the name of the dog we had at the time.
Okay.
We were looking to start the company. We went through all the safe tag, secure tag, trying to find websites that weren't taken. And in the end, it was a time when Goldfish credit cards were available.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Everyone knows Goldfish, so why not not go for the dog's name? And it was because of that dog that we actually started the company. She was a German short-haired pointer. Obviously, they're all loopy. And somebody walked past the farm. She just followed them. They went to a pub. Didn't take her inside. Left her outside on the main road. So nice. She got by a dog warden. Now we're very much in the very almost like an enclave in North Wiltshire. So we're very close to Swindon. I mean, literally a mile away from Swindon. But because we're in North Wiltshire, our dogs, when they get picked up by the dog warden, get taken elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So she got taken to the local vet in our village. At the time, there were two types of scanner, I believe. One you held the button and scanned, and the other one you held and released. Unfortunately, the girl that did the scanning didn't know how to actually operate it. Easy mistake to make. So she actually got taken to Bath, which...
Oh, wow. It's a fair hike.
30 odd miles away.
Yeah.
So it was a Friday night. It was actually my ex-wife's dog. I was actually in Gloucestershire baling straw. So I had this panic phone call. We lost the dog. So bizarrely enough, my sister used to play hockey with one of the dog wardens. So I managed a very long process, got her number, spoke to her on her way out of Bath on a Friday night. I don't know if you've ever been out of Bath on a Friday night.
I used to live in Marlborough. I know Bath and Bristol on a Friday is an absolute nightmare. The M4, my goodness.
Yeah. So I spoke to her and she was on her way out and she said, there's no way I'm going. Yes, I've got your dog, but there's no way I'm going back. So that's Bath Cats and Dogs Home. So we went down the following day, got a bollocking because she didn't have a tag on. Even though she had the microchip, okay. even they didn't pick the microchip up. And we did get it scanned afterwards, and it was working fine. So it was, I think it's an £80 fine, and my ex-wife got a good bollocking, and I mean the dog was a complete mess. I mean she was
really
when they're that it's like almost like that nervous energy. We reckon she lost about 20% of her body weight overnight. She must have been frantic. I mean she didn't leave our side for 2 or 3 days. She was just with us all the time. So I started the search for have a proper name tag, because anything with you can have the best dog tag in the world. It's got a really weak ring or attachment.
Terrible.
and she would lose a tag in a day. I mean, we called a hedge blind, so she would run through a hedge as if the hedge wasn't there, and you know the tag's just dangling in the
no
the hedge.
sense, no feeling.
So you buy 2 or 3, and then you get bored, and you just say, oh well, whatever. So, and at the time, you know, she's microchipped, so why worry about it? But obviously, we should have worried about it. So then I started to search to find somebody, and I found a guy in America that was making these tags. I bought 7 for my dogs and a couple of my friends, and within a week of having those, I'd ordered another 10 for another 10 friends. So they all said it's such a good idea. So cut that long story short, I ended up being the European distributor for them. So I don't make them, somebody else makes them for me.
Okay, I thought you made them. It's funny, isn't it? Because in my head, I'd associated it with somehow to do with the cows, because I first came across you in around about 2007. When did you set up?
2006.
So I thought I was really early on, because I can remember talking to you and I thought they'd just come out, and I can remember talking to you about cows, because being a dairy farmer, and in my head, I put the tags with some sort of cow equipment. Do you know how you make these really wacky leaps, these blonde leaps? It was a blonde moment. And it kind of stuck in my head the whole time. And how many years? 13 years. And so when we come back from New Zealand, we were renting a place at Walworton Bassett, just next to, I can't remember what the pub's called now. And I was looking for dog tags to go on my dogs when we found somewhere to live. And then I came across your website, which was very different to how it is now. And then moved to Marlborough, got my first dog tag, started teaching at Wootton Rivers. And you gave me, I've still got them actually, they're in the garage, I meant to bring them up, I still got them. You gave me this, they were on a ring, I can still remember, they were on a ring, and it was webbing, and there was like some webbing in a leather with just a couple of little dangly bits coming off with the different tags on. And I used to have them in my dog training kit, and at the first night of a training course, I would get my little octopus of dog tags out, hand out the forms and go, right, you've got to get these are amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot of dog trainers do that.
Yeah, no, they're awesome, they're so cool, and because they come in different sizes and they go on different types of collars as well, don't they?
Yeah, and they are very I mean, like this, I don't even see that very well on my camera. So that is designed for an inch wide collar, and it's very important that it is exactly the right size. I mean, on my dogs, and I don't know quite whether everybody else's dogs are the same. Obviously, my dogs are farm dogs, and they run around all day in lots of cow shit. And I've got to cut those tags off. They don't fall off. I mean, we guarantee. I mean, you can't even bend the collar.
Yeah.
So if they're fitted to the right type of collar, they won't fall off. No chance, absolutely none. So that's why we offer the lifetime guarantee. And I think, I mean, in the 14 years we've been going, I've probably replaced, I don't know, 30, 40 tags.
Really?
They don't. There's no way. And usually, if they have fallen off, it's usually because somebody's taken them off. I mean, I did have one lady phone me up and say, "Oh, your tags are rubbish." It was one of these actually. I don't know if you can see it. So it's like.
Oh, they're the leather ones, aren't they, with the deep shoulders?
They can't fall off.
No.
And it was at the vets. At least she phoned me up 2 weeks later and said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, you've replaced the tag for no reason." But the thing is, we replace so few that the odd one that does come up is just no problem. We just replace it. Yeah. We have our customer service is really easy. There's no argument worth a £12 tag. No. So if the customer's not happy or for whatever reason, we just don't get into any argument with them. It's just, okay, we will refund you or replace you. So, I mean, one of my boasts is you won't find a bad review about our product.
No.
14 years, try and find one. You know, we've had a few customers that I had one customer. At one point, I was sending the tags before payment.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And I had one guy said I was stupid for doing that. What sort of business was I? And I said, well, I kind of trust people to actually do what they say they're going to do. I had made a contract, and he said, well, I don't think it's worth that money. And I said, well, that's fair enough. Send it back. And he actually did. So
okay.
But that's one. One, I think. Yeah.
People are funny, aren't they, with money? They don't appreciate the fact that something that's really, really good quality will cost you a little bit more. But then I'm going off track here. Have you ever read Terry Pratchett? No. Terry Pratchett books. There's a character and I keep referring to him as Sam Vimes as the copper, and it's Sam Vimes' philosophy on quality or something. And he's a copper, and he says, you pay $40 for $40 for a pair of boots rather than $10 for a pair of boots, and you'll get more than 4 times worth the wear out of them. And that's kind of the philosophy that I've stuck with for years. If you want something to last, you have to pay a bit more for it.
Well, there is that.
And if they've got a lifetime guarantee, I mean, goodness me.
Well, the most important thing for me was security.
Yeah.
So if they don't fall off, then your dog's got ID on. Because very early on when we started, we had I had a long conversation. I've forgotten her second name. I think she started Dog Lost. Jane, is it Jane? And she was saying that most dogs, when they get lost really close to home.
Yes.
So they've effectively just wandered off.
Uh-huh.
They're usually not lost, but they get picked up by people and taken in, and then you start this chain of trying to find who the owner is. Whereas quite often they could just let them go and they probably go home if they want to go home, obviously. So I have this argument quite often about the what should go on the tag. What information should go on the tag?
Yeah.
So you've got your legal requirement, which is your name and your address.
Uh-huh.
And having spoken to Jane, she said, and I remember the conversation quite clear. It was late one night, and I'm pretty sure we both had a drink, and it was quite a flowing conversation. But she was saying that she rehomed disproportionately more dogs that had their name on the tag than that didn't. So they had the dog's name on the tag.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, why ever would that be? And she was saying that because if somebody's going to, well, she said quite a few things. I'll try and say them in some kind of an order. Firstly, if somebody's going to steal a dog to sell it, doesn't matter what it's called, they're going to steal it.
Yeah.
If they're stealing it to sell it, what they will do is they will maybe hang around to find out whether you're out calling for your dog. 'Cause that's the first thing we do when we lose our dogs. We go out and call the bloody name, don't we?
Yeah.
Unless you're training it to the whistle, of course. But then, she told me a story of a farmer with black Labradors, like I've got, who they lost one of their dogs, his bitch, and so they were out calling for it. So this guy turned up and said, "Oh, what's the matter?" And they said, "We lost our dog. If you see a black Labrador, it's called."
Oh my goodness.
Bitsy. So then they just go off. So if you're trying to sell a dog and it responds to you, so Indigo, for instance, you say Indigo and it pricks his ears up, nobody's going to doubt that that's your dog.
Yeah.
So what they'll do, they will maybe change the name to something very close to it, so it still responds.
Mm-hmm.
So she was saying that when like I'm sure it's Dog Lost. Sure it's Dog Lost. When the posters go up, you get the visual photos. Some people remember names. If you've got both, then you're going to have a better association. So if you're trying to sell it down a pub, and I've never known anybody buy or sell a dog down a pub, but apparently it happens. So there's two cues for them to remember. Oh, I'm sure I saw a collie with that name, or something similar. So and that, I think, was why she was getting more of them come home. But also it gives the dog comfort. So if you know what the dog's called and it is scared and lost and it's, I don't know, fireworks or something that's run off, if you can afford that dog a little bit of comfort before you find its owners, then actually there is no harm in having that name on the tag. So I think it's almost like a false security with the whole naming. So when I had this conversation with people, I want as little information on the tag as possible. And I said, well, you want the dog to come home, don't you? Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the answer is always yes. And I said, well, you want to get it back. If it's the next street over, you want somebody to walk it home, don't you? What if they haven't got a mobile phone on them? Mm-hmm. And also, there's the police aspect as well, because if your dog goes there and causes an accident, you've got to have, if I know they're all chipped now, but at the time they weren't. So if they can't get hold of you, then if you just have a mobile number on, hello, this is the police. Your dog's just caused an accident. Well, I haven't got a dog. I don't know whose number you've called. You know, there's so many, like,
So really,
yeah.
two numbers.
Well, I mean, I always put I put everything on my tags.
Yeah.
The dog's name, my name, the address, and 2 telephone numbers.
Okay.
So if they ever get caught, and you know, it still happens now, because my dogs wander the farm, and we've got quite a few footpaths, and you know, I get people phone up. Do you know your dog's over here? Yeah, I do. Thanks very much. You know, I've actually got a tracker on one of them because they like to go off hunting. So in my head, and like I say, I'm in a really low risk area for dog theft and all the rest of it. So I'm coming from a point of security, so I don't necessarily understand those fears that a lot of people are in a city may have. But in my head, you want the dog to get back to you as quick as possible with the least amount of stress to everybody. So the most information on that tag, more information on that tag, is going to get it back in that way. I don't know. Like I say, I'm coming from a point of security, so I'm lucky I've never had a dog actually stolen.
No. No, touch wood, I haven't either. I mean, I don't normally put my dog's names on, and I've never in the past recommended dogs' names go on. You know, your name, address, phone number, always your mobile, because you won't be at home if your dog's missing. But actually,
but also if you have your landline number on, you can leave a message on the answer machine.
Yeah, this is true.
You can also put the mobile number on there, so at least the landline.
But I mean, listening to your argument for putting the dog's name on is a really good reason. I haven't in the past, because for me it's like the only person who needs to know your dog's name is you. You know. So, but then I can remember we lost Angus. He wandered out because I didn't used to put collars on my dogs in the house.
Because you've got working dogs.
I've got working dogs, so I never put the collar. I took the collars off when we got home, and my front door didn't shut properly. I went off down to Waitrose in Marlborough, come back, where's my dog? And my son was like, I thought you'd taken him to Waitrose with you. No. And like that, somebody had picked him up outside of the house, took him down to Riverside Vets, and the vet nurses didn't know him. The vet nurses who did know him were in theatre, and the scanner was out of battery. Just everything that one day, you know. So I might have to change what I recommend goes on them, because that is a really good idea. Actually, it's a really good idea.
I think it can depend on what your dog's like. I mean, if you've got quite a strong dog, then maybe it doesn't matter. But if you've got a nervous dog, just affording it that bit of comfort by using its name may or may not just help the situation. When I think of like if Indigo, when she went to Bath Cats and Dogs Home, if she'd have had a little bit of name, it may not have made any difference at all. I'm sure she would have been absolutely distraught no matter what. But having the name may have just given some comfort. And it doesn't matter as long as there's enough information on there to get the dog back. That's the key. That's the key element. What we're trying to do. And I think withholding information for security is a misnomer and it's a false security. If somebody going to steal your dog for baiting or breeding or whatever, it's not coming back anyway. And if they're going to ransom you, you might as well give them the number. You know, so the logic for me is if the dog's gone, is gone. If it's going to come back to you, it's going to come back to you whether you've got to pay for it or whether. Because I'm a great believer that most people are honest. 99.9% of the time, if your dog is picked up by chance being somewhere, he's going to be by somebody that's going to say, "Let's get you home." Yeah, absolutely. I hope so. I hope I'm right. I may be wrong, but I wouldn't think, "Oh, it's a dog, I can go and sell it." That just doesn't.
I mean, I think people either steal dogs to order or they do it opportunist. You know, I mean, I know from seeing dogs tied up outside of Waitrose, the amount of times I've stood there, you know, in Marlborough, like black lab, all tied up outside of Waitrose in Marlborough, and I've stood there and said, when they've untied the dogs, "How do I know that's your dog?" "Well, it is." "How do I know?" "You haven't got a collar on it. You've got an old slip lead on it. How do I know it's your dog?" And I get really angry, actually. I get really knocky when I see the dogs tied up, because they're the perfect opportunity for people to go up. "Hello, Pooch, how you doing?" "Right, you're with me. I've got you." Yeah. And no collars either, because, well, it's Marlborough, so why put a collar on your dog?
Precisely. Yeah, way too posh.
Way too posh. Oh, you know, amazing colours. But yeah, I find, and you've got to stay on the right side of the law as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Colours.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I came from a position where I needed to have something secure.
Yeah.
So I've never had a problem selling my dog tags. If I meet somebody, I can sell them because I've been there. I empathise with anybody that's lost a dog.
Yeah.
But for a period of time, and the stress to go and try and get the bloody thing back, and you know, so I do emphasise. So I know I can absolutely guarantee my tags will stay on the collar, and that's a real. It's a nice boast to be able to say my tag, my information will make sure it stays on your dog. It will be, as long as they don't lose the collar, obviously. You know.
Well, that was the thing. Is, do you keep a collar on your dog indoors?
Yeah.
Does it your collar never comes off?
No.
Because you've got working dogs as well, haven't you? You take them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tip them off when they're picking up, put them back on.
No.
You leave them on when they're picking up.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Never had a problem.
What I've got to ask this question. What kind of collar do you use?
I use the adjustable type. There you go. So the type that snaps together.
Okay. Okay, so your dog doesn't pull on the lead then?
I don't use lead when I'm shooting, no.
No, I mean generally you don't want your dogs on leads. Yeah.
No. But even so, I'd never have a dog pull on the lead. That would just be.
That would be daft, wouldn't it? That would be a really daft thing to let your dog do.
Well, yeah, and I see enough people. We're on a bridle way here, and I'm no dog trainer. Don't get me wrong, but I mean my dog doesn't need a lead when we're out shooting. It doesn't run off, and if it does go on a lead, it just walks by my side. Isn't that, you know? Anyway, so I see people walk past being pulled to the field because we're the last ones before we get to the countryside.
Uh-huh.
And I've had one lady with a spaniel, and this poor bloody spaniel was like that.
Oh man, yeah.
And on two legs.
Uh-huh.
On his back legs, all the way past. And I said, "Oh, come on, you can't keep doing that." She said, "Oh, he just wants to get and be let off." And I said, "What do you do when you get to the end of the lane?" So I let it off. I said, "Just trying to get there quicker." Stop doing that. Just what you're doing, you're encouraging the behaviour.
Absolutely.
I'm no dog trainer. I told her to walk around the block a few times with it, put it in the car, bring it down here, open the boot, let it out. As soon as it associates that lead with free running at the end, it was always going to try and get there quicker.
Absolutely.
Because she wasn't a very big lady, and she was being pulled along. Would have been a great Canicross dog, brilliant Canicross dog. It subsequently did get a lot better after she just did that a few times. It was just association. You know, it's not the dog's fault. The dog's not misbehaving. It's just wanting to, especially a spaniel. I mean, all it wanted to do was run. Just run.
I know.
Just want to get there quicker. The quicker I get there, the quicker we're off. And you know, as soon as it hit that spot, the lead came off, and off it ran. So, I don't have my dogs don't pull on leads, but I don't know if you've seen the collars that we sell. We sell these Walter collars. They're German.
I like them.
They're made in Germany, but the hoop isn't on the clasp. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
that's really good. So
when you pull,
uh-huh,
you're actually pulling just on fabric.
Fantastic.
Because some of the old ones we used to sell, those like the lugs would break off.
Yes.
But because there's no pressure on that lug now, even if you get a dog that pulls, it's just pulling against material all the time.
Yeah. I like them a lot, actually.
Yeah, no, they're really good. They're really good. We're very pleased with them.
I mean, I have worked with people's dogs in the past, and it's you learn by your mistakes, don't you? And so I would, when I first started doing behaviour work, I would use the equipment that the people gave me. And I can remember this. I was working with this really aggressive boxer, and I had one of those. That's why I said, this clippy ones. And next door's dog came out. Gone, collar. I was left hanging with this collar. It could have been really bad. This dog was really aggressive, and gosh, what a nightmare! Can you remember that one? And then you learn you never use people's equipment. You always use your own equipment. But yeah, and when you got that out, I went, oh, but that's an amazing piece of kit.
Yeah,
I'd recommend them. They're good.
Yeah, when we started doing the tags, we just did very basic tags. That's all we did, and we tried to do a few other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But I found it seemed that a lot of our customers are very practical people. They want to spend a bit extra on the quality, and actually bling wasn't their thing. They weren't interested. They just wanted good quality. And we sell leather collars from an Italian company as well, Fur Plast, and they're bull's leather, so it doesn't stretch.
Brilliant.
No, stretch. Collars longer and longer and longer. This the leather we sell, we don't. And I stuck with them right all the way through. We don't sell anything else other than that leather. And we tried a few other bits and add-on upselling bits, but we've just come back to doing very basic collars. I'm grayscale colorblind. I don't know what colors they are, but there is a range of colors, and they're just practical. They're strong, but they're not blingy. So, and we're selling quite a few of them just because I think people look at us. We've got a quality tag and we've got a quality collar, so we're not trying to make them look pretty or anything. I mean, they are quite pretty. I'm told the colors are nice, but it's we very much stayed to our core, to the core of what we were about. So it's just dog security, and part of that is having a good collar on your dog.
Absolutely, good common sense equipment. Yeah. But I've seen on your website that you sell them for things like kit bags and luggage and
anything that has
equipment, anything that you can put a tag on.
Anything that has webbing or a leather strap, they can go onto. Yeah, so we don't sell many for horses. We sell quite a few for horses for their head collars, but we sold quite a lot to the army. So if you'd imagine you're jumping on a Hercules and you've got 100 other soldiers chucking their Bergens in the corner. And let's face it, they all look the bloody same. They're all camouflage. It's got a big so I mean, some tie stuff around them, but they can just put these tags on the outside, and then they can just be distributed because they're easy to read. But also because you can remove them, they can go on the inside of the Bergen when they're out in the field, so they're not shiny but they're always on.
Of course.
And we sold quite a few to Navy divers, and I had a really interesting conversation with one. He wanted 4 tags, and I said, "Why? Why do you want 4 tags?" And he said, "Well, I want one for each of my shoes, or however his. I don't even know what they use. It wasn't flippers. He wasn't talking about flippers. It's whatever's underneath the flippers, I suppose. And one for my webbing kit, and one for my wrist. You can fit them onto those. I call them James Bond watches. You can just get a strap.
Oh yeah.
Yes, they fit on there quite well." I said, "Well, why do you need so many?" He said, "Well, if I hit a bomb when I'm mine searching." Said,
oh my God, that's really awful. That's just.
I'll do your discount. So he had a good discount. But the thing is, because they're made from surgical grade stainless steel, they don't rust in seawater. When we first started, we did quite a lot of agility shows, and we went to. I don't even remember. I think it was Paddock Wood. I think it must have been. What was the big dog show they had in Paddock Wood? Can't remember what it was. And we sold some to an agility. They had agility events there, and we sold some to a club. It was either Christchurch or Bournemouth or somewhere very much on the west, on the south coast. And I started noticing we started having lots of orders on the south coast, and where everybody's walking up and down the beach saying, "God, you want to get some of these tags? They're brilliant. They don't rust in seawater." The tags were just falling off and rusting. It's just like a wave coming out. I can't remember. Right to like Brighton, like Bognor Regis. It was just like going because we're tracking it. And it's where people were crossing over and walking on the beaches and talking about their dogs, and they'd see the dog tag. And incredible. I've done so little advertising. I think I spend something like £100 a year on advertising.
Really?
Word of mouth and repeat customers. So when we started the guarantee, we sort of said, "Oh, is this really a good thing to be doing, guaranteeing for life?" Of course, people move. How many times have you moved? You move.
Oh, I know. I'm always, can I have some more tags?
You change telephone numbers. You get another dog. You don't want to put the old tag on the new dog because you want to bury it with it. And 70% of our customers are repeat business or recommendations.
Brilliant.
And
that is awesome.
we've also had, regularly, after holiday, any kind of a holiday period, usually Christmas, but Easter especially as well, we'd notice we'd have a spike after those holiday periods. And it is where people would go and visit other people with their dogs over a period. And they just have my dog tags on their collars. The owners that they went to, or the other houses they went to visit, would see them, or other people would see them. And we always ask where on the website, where did you hear about us?
Yeah.
And it's nearly always an existing customer. And to say we get spikes in January and April, May time.
You see, I think you should. I think if I was like a boarding kennel or anything, I would have loads of your tags then, and just attaching all the different dogs, for different collars on them, and then.
Yeah. Dog walkers do that. So dog walkers, when they pick up their dogs, they'll just put on, because the one thing you don't want when your dog is walking somebody's dog, if it does run off, is for the owner to be called at work. I've got your dog here. What are you going to do?
That would go down well, wouldn't it?
So because we do offer discounts for quantity, then we can. If you are a dog walker and you've got 6 or 8 dogs, similar size, Labradors, whatever, just get the collars, slip it over their heads. Is really quite an easy thing to do, and like certainly with our collars, if they are clipped on, you're not gonna break it. So when they turn up at the houses, they just swap the collars, leave the owner's collar there, and to put theirs on, and off it goes. And it's a routine for the dog. The dog knows then that it's going to go off for its walk.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they can have really good boundaries at the dog walkers and go mad at home.
Yeah.
Changing the collar. So
absolutely. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Now I want to talk to you about raw milk, actually. That was a big jump, but I want to make sure that I get to talk to you about raw milk. I do know very little about it. I know that it's got some amazing health properties, and we've spoken before about it being good for people who are lactose intolerant, because I'm quite lactose intolerant.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm desperate to try it, but you can't buy it in the shops in Scotland.
No, you can't.
I did try kefir years and years ago for health benefits, and it was I couldn't stomach it. No, I couldn't even get it to my mouth, just everything about it just turned me off. But I'm very much into using food as a medicine.
Yep.
And so why did you go down the raw milk route? Because it's unconventional at the minute. I mean, there's a lot of people say, oh no, you shouldn't have raw milk, and there's a lot of people who are now coming around and saying, well, actually raw milk is the thing to do. And so it's kind of ahead of the curve, really. Mm-hmm. And speaking as someone who's ahead of the curve a lot, it can be really frustrating to break the barriers and be the leader and plow ahead. And so why did you go down that route? Why not just stick to what's the pasteurized milk? Why not? Why raw?
I think there's quite a few reasons. Firstly, we've always won awards for how clean our milk is.
Uh-huh.
We would be, and I say we, because my father was still alive. He was very much the same as me. We very much believe that a cow has evolved to eat grass, and it should eat grass.
Uh-huh.
So to go on the commercial scale, they're feeding lots of other things that maybe the cow hasn't evolved to eat. It makes them produce a lot of milk. It's not very good quality milk. Analyzes well, but you can't actually. It's like dog food, put cereals and stuff in dog food, and well, you've got this slimy shit, haven't you? Let's face it, it's just.
This is true. Crap in, crap out.
So we've very much been a low stress system. So cow eats grass. We tend to be predominantly hay if we can, but silage too. So it's grass based. We have a small amount of cereal in the parlour, and I'm trying to get away from that. It's quite a hard process because cereal is so much cheaper than the alternative. So the alternatives are grass nuts or lucerne nuts, and they're nearly £500 a tonne. Whereas the others are about £250 a tonne.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, our cows would probably half to 3/4 of a tonne a year. each. So it's not, it's basically keeping it quiet. It's a treat, dog treat. When they do something well, you give them a dog treat. So it's just when they come into the parlour for milking, you give them a few.
You get that wee treat to keep them happy. Yeah.
It's just giving them a sweet for coming in and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So nutritional increase is very, very limited. There's the amount of fodder they're eating is minuscule amount. So growing up, I've got two older sisters, and as children we were never ill. I mean, one of my middle sister, my next sister up, she never had a day off school ever. She's very proud of it. And we didn't think about it at the time. And actually my dad had a heart attack when I was about 14. We did go on to pasteurized milk for a small amount of time. We all hated it, and it was vile and it's thin and just tasteless, and couldn't quite work out what the hell, why would you? And it wasn't until, I can't actually remember what happened, what my turning point was. I researched something on the internet and I can't remember, and it just popped up. Raw milk is whatever it was. And I went, oh, that's what we do, raw milk. And then the following one was warning, you need to pasteurize because it'll kill you otherwise. And I was like, really? But we're producing really good milk. And I just got into this wormhole, was starting to find out information about, actually, it was liquid gold. And I kept saying to my dad, this stuff is just phenomenal. We can't. And what we were doing, we were producing this really clean product, putting it into a tanker with other farmers that weren't as clean as us, just going off to be pasteurized and cooked and destroyed. And it actually felt almost disrespectful to the milk, to the cows. We were treating these cows the best we could, producing really good quality food, and then it was just going off and being destroyed. And it really started to grate. It started to grate on me, so I started looking at actually selling it. And it took me about 5 years before I actually started. Numerous reasons. My dad died, and it's one of those things that you need to have help doing. I couldn't do it on my own.
No.
I needed another person, and Sarah came into my life and helped me sort all that out. When you start realizing, and so you get in this wormhole of looking at food and realizing that actually what majority of people call food actually is so nutritionally void, that when you start realizing that, when I realized I was producing this superfood, it's like, God, I need more people to know about this. This is, I was winning awards for high quality milk, and we're tested on two things. Firstly, the health of the cow, which is the somatic cell count. So it's somatic cells. Somatic basically means of the body. So in the milk's akin to blood. Actually, it's very, very similar. So if there's white blood cells in there, that would indicate inflammation. Yeah. So if you cut yourself, white blood cells go there.
Yeah.
So if you've got a very low cell count, which we always have, it shows that the cows aren't stressed, that the TNs aren't under challenge. So there's no infection, there's no inflammation. Good food. So straight away we knew that. I think we did a test on some milk. My mother had bought some milk from a big, I nearly said the supermarket, and I won't. And I got it tested with our other milk. We test our milk every single cow gets tested every single month when she's producing milk. And I sent it off. And so the national average somatic cell count is 221,000 cells. Well, it was at this point, 221,000 cells per milliliter. Sounds a lot. It's not extreme. We were producing it at 42,000. That was our average. Wow. So this milk that you're buying from the supermarket had an average of 221, just this one bottle. That means there's a lot of cows going into that. They're chronically inflamed, mastitic, ill, stressed. It's like us. When we're stressed, there's physical, your liver emits enzymes, your hair falls out, you lose condition, you lose weight. My cows don't do that. My cows stay pretty much the same weight from calving right through to when they calve again, whereas the commercial herds, and the commercial, don't get me wrong, the commercial herds are looked after very well, and they are. The welfare is is exemplary for worldwide standards.
Mm-hmm.
But they're athletes. So mine, I've got plodding donkeys that go down Western Beach, and they're going up and down, and they just cruise through their lactation. Whereas the big commercial boys producing 12,000 litres a year, I produce about 3,500, 4,000 litres a year, my cows. So their cows are producing 4 times as much. They last 3, maybe 4 years. I've got 15-year-old cows. I've had one the other year, was 20. She was I was a bit of a softie with her, to be fair. But so for my thinking, I could never understand why you would push. It's like having a racing car that you race, and then after 3 races, you've got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have my bloody old Land Rover and, keep going like 100 races later, just keep going around and around. And it just doesn't seem fair on the animal.
Mm-hmm.
We've bred them to be super athletes. And the breed, these farmers are incredible. The achievements what they achieve is incredible. I've got to say, I'm always amazed with the breeding and the feeding and the nutritional. All these cows are athletes. They're nutritional. It's better than humans in many cases.
Yeah.
And that's one of the bizarre things that this whole kind of like the vegan aspect, if you like, that actually animals are looked after far better than humans look after themselves. It's a bizarre situation where I'm sure you get it with some of you. Like going to dog shows, I used to have people come up to me with, well, I used to call it DIY dentistry because they wouldn't look after the teeth, and it was like homemade clothes, and the dog was immaculate. You feed, you see him eating bloody, I don't know, donuts or something, and then say no, the dog's got to have raw because that's the best. When that was a strange,
I get it.
Strange thing. So I think I've always been very much on the side of letting the animal be the animal.
Uh-huh.
And if you, and my dad always used to say, if you look after the cows, they'll look after you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Antibiotic use is a big thing at the moment, trying to cut down antibiotics because we're getting resistance in the human population. So we come out of the 80s, pharmaceutical companies will push antibiotics, and as farmers we read the stuff, our vets are telling us to do this, and so you go down that path because you think it's the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's caused a lot of problems, and the agriculture industry is guilty of producing some resistance. And human doctors too. I think they've overprescribed as well.
Mm-hmm. So
we've not really used antibiotics. Antibiotics aren't really a thing we've ever used because we don't need to, because cows aren't stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they get it if they're ill, if they're lame, and we can't. If it's an infection, they get the antibiotics if they need it.
Yeah,
but not routinely. Like last year, because we are monitored on our antibiotic use, and if it's over a certain amount, we're going to get investigated, and quite rightly so. And some people are using antibiotics, and they actually really do need to. So you can't say just because somebody's using them, they're using them inappropriately, right? Because there's health reasons in the herd that are causing problems. But last year, I treated one adult cow with one intermammary tube when she went on her maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just unheard of. 20 years ago, we would spend, I don't know, a good few £1,000s on antibiotics a year, and every cow would have had antibiotics at some point in that year.
Good grief.
Well, I hate antibiotics in regard to personally. If it upsets my system so much. And so, going on from that, a lot of our customers have real serious digestive problems.
Uh-huh.
And they'll search us out because raw milk actually repopulates the stomach.
Okay.
If you have antibiotics, then you completely destroy all the good bacteria. That's obviously susceptible to the antibiotics, but you affect your microbiome, your stomach. Your stomach is actually it's second brain. If your stomach's wrong, everything else is wrong.
Yep.
Your skin, your digestion, your brain, everything. Depression is actually, they reckon, is a big problem because of what's in your stomach. I've got people travelling from Weston-super-Mare, Ross-on-Wye, Bristol, Cheltenham, Chippenham, did I say Reading? I mean, Abingdon. I mean, they come miles and miles to try to get our milk. And when you ask them, why are you coming? Because it makes me better.
Yeah. So what does it do? Because I don't know if you know, but I used to be, well, I am a kinesiologist as well as a dog trainer, and so we put a lot of store in the gut, and they've found brain cells in the gut. You know, there's a lot of information on the brain cells being in the gut, and all of the things, you know, your gut instinct and all of that logic comes. We're now proven that actually the gut is absolutely right. And I mean, we've always recommended that you take acidophilus, you know, if you're on antibiotics, so that you balance the gut flora with you know, lactobacillus and so on. I can never pronounce it, but acidophilus. And you get that. Sorry?
It comes in milk. It comes in my milk for free. Okay,
so that's what I was going to say. So is it the whole that balancing of the flora in your gut, you know, the lactobacillus, there's about 5 in acidophilus that we recommend, and I can't remember them all off the top of my head. Can't pronounce half of them, that's why. But whenever anybody takes antibiotics, the first thing I say to them is make sure you're taking your acidophilus, because otherwise you'll end up with thrush, or you'll end up with a dicky tummy, or you'll end up with the runs.
Candida,
Candida, the whole lot, you know.
Quite often when I speak to my customers, there is usually a stress period or some insult to their stomach, whether it be antibiotics or some illness somewhere along the line, which has completely put them out of balance, and they just can't get right from it.
Yeah.
So, the thing is that the like Candida outcompetes everything. It's just there's such a strong ass bacteria, isn't it? Bacteria, Candida?
Candida albicans. It's a yeast infection. It starts off as a yeast infection.
And so if you think what raw milk is designed to do, it's designed to feed a mammal, baby mammal. Everything is in exactly the right proportion. Proteins, the carbohydrates, the minerals, they're all there's enzymes to break it down. It's all bioavailable. You can live on raw milk, and I've actually one of my customers is just on the end of a 2-week period of having nothing but my milk.
Wow!
And he said he's never felt better. He would say that because he's the mental person doing it. But you know, in America, there's a clinic called the Mayo Clinic. I'm not sure if you've ever.
Yeah, I know about the Mayo Clinic a lot. Yeah.
Turn of the century, the way they treated people was just with raw milk.
With raw milk.
Just raw milk. When people started going into towns, and this is why they started pasteurizing milk. When people started going into towns, getting food to them was an issue. It's not like now, you know, it's slow transport links. So they thought, well, we can't get milk from the country into the town and for it to stay where it's souring. Let's take the cows into the town. So they took the cows into the town because there's no grass in the town. So instead of feeding them grass, they would feed them brewery waste or bakery waste, just waste food.
Oh, they take it from the, I can remember doing a brewery tour. And
brewer's grains, distillery grains,
The distillery grains, that's what they take, isn't it? Because I can remember doing the tour. It's just
And, you know, you can still, you know, farmers still feed them now, but it's a different story now. So, so the turn of last century, these cows were stuck in these effectively concrete prisons, being fed stuff that they haven't evolved to eat. The cows were sick. I mean, all of the cows were sick, so they were still milking them. So the milk they were producing was, well,
rubbish.
It's with raw milk, it's got its own pathogen inhibitors. So like stuff like E. coli, for instance, you know, E. coli is really, really bad, but it's a really bad competitor, so it won't compete against other bacteria and it dies off. In pasteurized milk, it's got free reign, absolute free reign.
Okay.
But also, if the cow is ill, the cow's milk doesn't then contain those pathogen inhibitors. So, you know, in the 1920s, we didn't know much about pathogens in the same way we do now and how to control them, temperature, chemicals and such like. So they were producing this awful milk, putting it into dirty containers, feeding it to kids, and they're getting ill and they're dying. So they're blaming the milk, or actually it was it's not the cow, it's the how, isn't it? So, you know, if they'd have actually let the cow be the cow, they would never have had a problem.
Yeah.
So they started pasteurizing milk to save people's lives. So the science is based on 100-year-old science, basically. So when people were getting ill, yes, they needed to pasteurize it from these inner city cows. Mm-hmm. But cows like I've got that eat grass, the milk is inherently safe. The whole point of it is designed to feed a baby mammal. And if you see a calf that's, you know, mum's let down in a little bit of mud, it's still sucking off it. It's still taking in that mud as well. So there is a challenge there. They don't get ill. My cows don't get ill. And I think we've become so reliant on government approved food that our whole our reality isn't reality anymore.
I know.
So when we were kids, I mean, my grandfather grew everything. We'd kill a cow a year. I reintroduced pigs onto the farm, but you know, we would have had pigs. We had chickens. We just kill our own chickens. You know, we had real food when I was growing up. We had real food, and it was a case of, right, somebody needs to go and pick some broccoli. Do we have to? You know, how many kids get the chance of that? Or actually, you know, so I mean, you see this broccoli in the supermarkets, and I don't go to supermarkets, so I'm talking local shop maybe, and you see it there, and you know that's gone on a massive journey through numerous different processes to get on there. It's still nutritious, but it's not the same as taking it out of your garden.
No, it's even the local farm shop, it's not the same. It's like a massive footprint.
Absolutely. So people's take on reality. So if you talk to your grandparents, they would go, you know, well, yeah, of course that's fine to kill a pig in the garden, and you know, you smoke a bit and you cook a bit and do whatever else. That's fine. I'm not going to call them townies, but you know, a more urban person would go, oh God, no, couldn't possibly do that. I home killed a pig a few weeks ago here.
I was sitting there going, oh, I couldn't do that. but I can dispatch a pheasant, you know.
Yeah, and you know, no better food than pheasant. Let's face it. And I think it's psychologically, we've removed ourselves from the whole growing, harvesting, whether that be
circle of life
or killing of products. It's going to be on our plate. So we've just passed it on to somebody else to do. You go and do that. You can do that. Let it come in a packet and have a government stamp, and it's bound to be safe. Oh my God! Some of the rubbish that people eat is just, I mean, it's scary.
I know.
They don't. There's a story from a guy in America called Joel Salatin who went into a supermarket and was just buying some bits and pieces. It wasn't him. He was talking about somebody that he was speaking to. So this guy went in there and bought ingredients to make meals, and this woman said to him, "You got nothing to eat in your trolley." And he said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You've got no food in your trolley. What are you going to do with all that?" And he looked in hers, and she had ready meals. Everything was ready-made, pies and whatever else. And he just said, "That is my food. I make meals out of that." And she couldn't comprehend the fact that you would actually assemble stuff. Well, that's mental. So I think, and that's obviously the extreme of it. But we've as a culture, we've completely lost in such a short amount of time any kind of visceral link with where our food comes from. That's a little bit scary.
It's really scary, isn't it? Because when I was 13, my mate used to have a horse, and she kept it on the allotment, and in the allotment was goats and floppy-eared goats, and so we would go in on the wet days and we'd milk the goats straight into our coffee, which is disgusting, and you'd have to you'd literally go fish the hairs out and drink it, but it was like the original frothy coffee, because it comes out really frothy in your coffee, and I now can't eat goat's cheese because all I can smell is wet goat, which you know what I mean, don't you? Know that smell when you walk into a stable full of wet goat. But yeah, people think it's really bizarre that I used to do that, but it was really nice. It was fresh, straight out of the goat. Yeah. But I think a lot of stuff that's going on with the food industry is really shocking. I used to I follow, there's a really good dietitian called Zoe Harkin.
I know Zoe, yeah.
Do you know Zoe?
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing, isn't she? And
Yep.
so the stuff that if it's
Yeah.
got a face, it's a fat, and you shouldn't you shouldn't really, if you can't pronounce it, you don't know what it is, you don't know where it comes from,
Or you can't replicate it.
You shouldn't really eat it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a philosophy that I've followed for years. I don't keep everything separate the way that she does, but I'm very much into checking everything, the whole Ansel Keys study and how the Eat Badly plate came about, and the fact that it's got fizzy pop on there, and so I know I'm really quite shocked at all of that, and it really does bring the kinesiologists out to the front and go, the fights we had with the pharmaceutical companies years ago, 20 years ago, trying to they were trying to ban St. John's wort, for example, from having it on sale, because it was having an impact with what they were putting out.
Likewise with raw milk.
And I can imagine it being the same with raw milk. You're in for a battle.
We've one of the problems of raw milk producers is we tend to be very small and very remote from each other. So we've only just formed the Raw Milk Producers Association. We just had our first birthday. One of the directors, we needed to get something because we were all in the dark with it all. The testing procedures and exactly what we needed to do to make sure it was safe, and like the latest knowledge. And when Sarah and I started, it was a case of we were just feeling our way through the dark. We didn't want to make anybody ill. We knew what we did was safe, but we needed to actually confirm it was safe. Actually let somebody be able to prove it.
Yeah.
So we started to sorry, the dog's wanting to come in. So we and everybody was saying the same thing. We know we're producing good food, but we couldn't actually get it out there. And part of what we've been doing, because we keep our calves with our cows as well.
Uh-huh.
So we're like the next level up welfare, if you like. And it's commercially suicide. It's really difficult to make any money out of actually keeping the cows with the cows, because so if a cow's going to give you 20 litres, let's say,
uh-huh.
or if a cow can give 20 litres, the calf takes 5. You don't get 15, you get 5 as well.
Okay.
She's going to hold on for the other 10, because the other 10 is for her calf for later.
Right. Got you.
So I need to charge 4 times the amount that I'm getting commercially than I am for my actual raw product that we sell at the farm.
Uh-huh.
Which is really hard. But leading on that is how I met. How I got introduced to Zoe Harkin, because we went to the Ethical Dairy up near they're in Scotland, just on the borders. I'm trying to think where they are now. If you look at Ethical Dairy, whereabouts? Galloway they are.
Okay.
And so she gave us a talk on it, and this, when you start getting into that little there are producers throughout the country that are producing top quality food that none of us knew about each other. And we're just like,
right.
Now we're all starting to get together, and that's a real big band of people doing the job really well.
Yeah.
High welfare, looking after, so actually putting carbon back into the soil rather than releasing it. We're on our journey now to be no-till, so we're not going to plough any land up. It's all going to be, keeping carbon in the soil rather than releasing it.
Oh, fantastic.
Using herbal lays to self-medicate the cows, and keeping the hedges cut in a way that they can self-medicate. Cows are just like dogs. They know what they need. They just got to have access to it. So I read a book by Rosamund Young called The Life of Cows.
Uh-huh.
And she was talking about they pretty much let their cows free rein, and they're in, where are they? Shropshire way, Warwickshire, I think. And she was talking about a cow that got ill, and that she would go off and find a willow tree because it's got aspirin. Willow's got aspirin.
Yeah.
And so we had a cow with mastitis. Sarah found it really early on, an E. coli mastitis, so quite a serious one, really high temperature. So I went and cut a tree, a branch off one of our willow trees in one of our ponds, and brought it up for her, and she ate it. The rest of the time, they would have just ignored it. And so again, we've had all these little things get us onto the journey of realizing that the cow is an amazing creature that can actually self-medicate, herbal lays, keep the hedges long. If they're allowed to do that, the quality of their food is just exemplary. I mean, it is so nutritious.
Yeah.
So why not let the cow do that? For me, that's a really logical thing, to let the cow be the cow, keep a calf, share the milk with the calf. As long as I can get enough people that share my passion for good food, and the fact that it costs so much more to produce. I mean, commercial dairying is profitable, but you've got to push the cows, you've got to take the calves away.
Yeah.
I mean, taking the calves away, I've got to say, is far less stressful for the cow, the farmer, and the calf. At 12 hours, if you take a calf away from a cow at 12 hours, she doesn't. The Holsteins don't call at all. They're completely. There's no maternal instinct at all. The calf will bellow for maybe a little bit, a couple of hours, until it gets fed. And then it realizes that teat is its mother, and then the farmer doesn't have to go through any stress. And then the cow, instead of giving 20 litres, will give 30 litres, because she's just programmed to produce it at the milking time.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different. What we're doing from the commercial is completely different. And I'm not going to put commercial farmers down, because I was one for quite a long time, and we looked after our animals well, just like they are now. But the quality of the food is different because of the way it's produced. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's fair to put these cows into effectively factories. I mean, some of these cows never go out and never see grass. I don't think I could cope with that. That would be completely against all of my ethics. Mm. So I'm not quite sure where we were going, so I've just gone meandered right.
That's okay. We've kind of went for a little journey, haven't we? Can I just ask, have you heard of a lady called Caroline Ingraham? No. She developed aromatherapy for animals. She was the first person, and she's very much into having animals self-medicate.
Yep.
And giving them a choice of substances to sniff to correct what they need correcting in them. She's done some really good books, actually, aromatherapy for animals. And okay. She might be somebody that you want to have a look at. She's amazing.
There is a course done at Tetbury, actually, not far from us, called Homeopathy at Welly Level.
That sounds good.
Yes. It's probably based on a lot of stuff that Carol Ingram has done. And so I was supposed to be on it last year. I will be on it hopefully this coming year. They do only do courses a year down at Dutchy Farm. So, but yeah, it's definitely something that we're going to be getting into.
That's great. Where can I get some raw milk from?
At the moment, only at the farm. But as you all know, we're going to start doing mail order.
Fantastic. It was so funny because we're in Scotland, and I said to my husband, I've just seen Jonathan and he's going to start exporting soon. And he went, yes, he said exporting from England to Scotland. And it's like, well, it is kind of exporting, really, isn't it?
It is. No, it is. And it's sad that the Scottish farmers aren't allowed to sell it. It's a backwards move.
How soon for your mail order? How soon can I get some?
Very soon. You should have had some already. The couriers are being a little bit hard to get hold of and track down, and because there's a new business there, it's a little bit slow getting going. So, but very soon you'll be the first. You're the first on the list.
Fantastic.
My guinea pig.
I'm really excited. Actually, I'll tell my kinesiology friends as well, because although I do my dog behaviour in the pet gun dog, I'm still a registered kinesiologist.
Excellent.
So yeah, let them know.
Well, the other thing with raw milk is you can feed it to dogs. They can cope with it, and cats.
Really? They don't have an issue with it?
Got the lactase in it. So lactose intolerance is an inability to produce the lactase enzyme. We don't need it because it's already in the milk. It's all there. It's a complete package.
You said that. Well, I'm really interested because I've got an autoimmune disease as well. So I'm really interested in.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm very interested in in seeing what the raw milk can do, you know, just
We,
to
we
level my energy out, you know, because I take acidophilus quite regularly just to try and get my gut flora good.
right. Or what we recommend for all of our customers is just a glass in the morning and a glass at night. So you're
Yum.
setting up both ends of the day. Cold, not so it has to just be straight. Don't mess with it. You can put milkshake with it if you like, but don't put it in a blender because that ruins it.
Yeah.
So people have smoothies, and we tell people make the smoothie and then add the milk.
Okay.
Because it changes the fat molecule. The fat molecule has to be digested in the lower intestines rather than straight through the stomach. So if you smash it up, like the milk you buy in the shops,
like a bullet, yeah.
So anything that's been homogenized and pasteurized, well, homogenization will make the fat globule go straight through your stomach wall, so you get a glycemic high. So, for instance, if you've got a kid with ADHD that can't cope with it, so give them a glass of raw milk at night, they'll sleep. It's the way the sugars are delivered. Because they're delivered slowly in the place that they're supposed to be delivered, you don't get these highs.
You don't get the highs.
So you don't have to pick him off the ceiling. You know, he's going to. We've had quite a few of them. Even Sarah's youngest, he's slightly ADHD, and he's an absolute arsehole if he's not on raw milk. If he goes away and then comes back, you know, he's a completely different person. And
I'm really looking forward to, because I do get that rush off milk. So if I have a frothy coffee, I will get that high and then it come down, but also I get that, and I notice a sign of being lactose intolerant is you get that sour metallic taste in your mouth after having milk, and you shouldn't have that, should you? And I get that after milk, and so I go, right, okay, I need to keep an eye on my gut flora because it's not good.
There's also different proteins as well which can affect it. Do you know about the A1, A2 protein that cows produce?
No.
So the older breeds, the Jerseys, the Ayrshires, Guernseys, Brown Swiss, they tend to produce A2 casein, which everybody can digest. Where we've bred selectively for these Holsteins and some of the other breeds as well, we've actually bred that gene out, so they're producing A1 casein, and it's similar symptoms to lactose intolerance. You get kind of a full stomach and a bit bilious. Uncomfortable stomach. So if somebody tries our raw milk and they still have the same symptoms, we took them up because we have A2 cows that we've had to genetically test. We put them onto that, and they go, oh, it's just like I can have milk again, and it's incredible the difference it can make.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to it. I will keep an eye out for it, and we're going to keep talking. We've been talking for just over an hour. That's amazing. I know, it's just like gone.
Everybody else has gone home. I've got bored.
Oh, Jonathan, it's been amazing, and I'm so interested in raw milk, and I'll be putting it all over Facebook when I get some, because I can't wait to try it. And as I say, you know, hopefully level my energy out, because I think milk is really good for you. But because I do get this spike, and I have to be really careful on leveling out everything. So I'm really looking forward to getting it.
Also, the carbohydrates were a big issue for me.
Say that again?
The carbohydrates. We're now very careful on what carbohydrates we eat. I pretty much cut them out nearly completely. I'm a complete carb addict. Sugar in my tea, shortbread, flapjack, Scottish tablet.
Oh my God, Scottish tablet, don't.
We got a Scottish lady lives very close to us that makes it.
Oh man, have that in your mouth when you're drinking tea.
Yeah, so I mean, like when I was milking, I'd have maybe 4 cups of tea. Well, that's 8 spoons of sugar before I even started anything in my day. And I had a blood test. We had a private blood test done, and I'm just over the diabetic threshold. 49 was my B1AC or whatever it is. And so one of our other customers, who I did the blood test through, said, you know, basically, John, if you carry on, you're going to start losing limbs when you're a bit older. So
wow.
Okay. So the next day I went cold turkey on refined sugar, carbohydrates, pretty much completely. So I'm not carnivore, but I have a little bit of sourdough. I'll have limited amount of vegetables. And that has made such a difference. I still drink the milk, obviously, so I'm having quite a lot of carbohydrates. And I can drink 6 pints a day of milk, no problem at all. When it's hot, I would just down a pint, easily, no problem at all. Two with my dinner at night as well. I'm not a big drinker, so milk is my milk is my thing. And one of the revelations of actually cutting the carbs out is my lack of hunger.
Yeah,
I'm not hungry. And it wasn't a few weeks ago I did a 24-hour fast, not by design, just because my life was so busy and I just didn't get round to eating 24 hours. I just missed. I only eat twice a day anyway now, but I missed my breakfast, which I just had my breakfast before I was talking to you. So if I have my breakfast at like midday or something like that, that would be midday onward would be when we normally have breakfast. But evening meal, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I can go to 9 o'clock at night without having any problems at all, not even thinking about it. 8, 9 months ago, I would have ripped your face off after 3 hours trying to get some food. One of my customers said, hunger is not an emergency. And that really rings in my head, because we think it is because our insulin levels are dropping so fast.
Yeah.
We keep spiking them. And looking back, my insulin graph, if you like, would have looked like a heartbeat monitor.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's where the damage is caused. And that was laziness. It was just easy to eat biscuits. Well, I wouldn't eat a biscuit. I'd have a packet of biscuits, because there's no off button with my carbohydrate intake. As soon as I start on carbohydrates, I just keep eating them. So with animal fats, you don't have that problem, because your brain goes, you're full, stop. So my breakfast might be 6 sausages and a couple of 4 eggs, something like that. Okay, that sounds a lot, but I'm not having maybe anything else with it. That might be it, and I can go 24 hours on that. And
have you read Zoe's diet? Have you read the Holcomb diet?
No. I've listened to quite a lot of her stuff and listened to her talk.
Yeah, that is it. It's like, as soon as you start introducing carbs, you shouldn't mix your fats and your carbs. Yeah. Because as soon as you mix your fats and your carbs, then the insulin's released, and then you get the spikes. Whereas if you're just eating, fats and proteins, you don't get that insulin spike coming in. It's really interesting.
I'm turned off by sugar stuff now. And my taste buds have changed. I actually like cheese. I never used to like cheese.
Oh God, I love cheese.
I never used to. I used to hate it, because I like the sweet. I like the. But I think not having the sugar on my tongue now has made the cheese taste so much better. But no, Zoe would be exactly the sort that. And so we saw her talk. That was May last year, I think, in Galloway, and that was a little bit of a revelation. Like, oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Of course. It all makes sense when you've had it explained. And actually, somebody explained, I heard somebody speak, and I think they were American, and they said, in boy terms, which really helped me. So they described your body as being like a dual fuel car. So we've got the electric and your petrol. So you've plugged your battery in overnight. You make sure that you've got enough. So when you set off in the morning, so that's the same as having breakfast. So you have some cereals in the morning. You might travel 60 miles, your battery's down to a third, so you think, I'll plug it back in again. Well, that's your 11 o'clock snack, that's your sweet tea, your biscuit. So you plug your battery back in, you get on your journey, and then you might have, and then you have lunch. So you cock up a bit more, so your white bread and bloody crisps and whatever else, the carbohydrate shit you have, and then you get to your evening meal, then you go and have lots of sweet stuff with it as well, and you never turn the petrol engine on. Well, the petrol engine is what burns the fat. Yeah. So you're never going to lose weight if you're not turning the fat burner on. No. And I know it makes me sound really thick, but I couldn't actually. That was a really easy way for me to assimilate that information and go, oh, okay, that's how it works. And if you stay in ketosis, and I think I am fat adjusted now. I just every bit of energy I get comes from fat. But I only look for it when I am genuinely hungry, and it's very, very rare now. And I've probably still got a little bit of weight to lose. I lost well over 2 stone now, and I haven't weighed for ages, but it wasn't. I wasn't looking to lose weight. I was looking to be undiabetic,
Yeah,
pre-diabetic. And
it is amazing
I
when
think
you have
the last test
sugar.
I had, I was 44, so I went from 49 to 44, and I'd imagine now I'm probably 40 or sub 40. So I should be pre-diabetic and hopefully
Coming
continue
down. That's
on my way
amazing.
now. But I think if you'd have said to me 8 months ago, you won't have any sugar, I would never have believed you. And it wasn't until somebody said you might start losing your limbs, I went, this is serious. Okay, got to do this. And as soon as I did, it's like the next day was just like, but I'm not hungry. Why am I not hungry? And so it was like somebody smacking me around the head with a sledgehammer. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
This is why. Okay, now you're awake. I'm woke, as they say.
Have you seen the film That Sugar Film?
Have I seen the film? Which called?
That Sugar Film.
No.
It's on YouTube.
What's it called? That Sugar Film?
That Sugar Film. It's an absolute eye-opener. It's an hour. It's anybody who's considering how bad sugar is. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And how it's in everything.
Yeah.
That Sugar Film it came out about 10 years ago now. It was a real hard-hitting film at the time. Made me come off sugar.
I think you've got to be looking for it then. I think I speak to people because obviously I'm quite passionate about the fact that now I'm hopefully pre-diabetic and I'm not ever hungry, and I don't know if I'm trying to save everybody or not, but I can see people glaze over, and that's exactly what I would have done 2 years ago, a year ago even. I would have just gone, doesn't apply to me.
You become really passionate about it. You actually make me think I need to go and have a look at the Zoe Hawken books again, because her books are fantastic. What was it? There's a book she brought out, which is something like the obesity epidemic. That is a really good book. And then there's another book on why am I eating when I want to lose weight? I can't remember. There's some fantastic books out there, and she talks about insulin, and candida, and just amazing, and how important it is.
Insulin, I believe, is a defense mechanism, isn't it? Isn't it your body saying we've got to get rid of this carbohydrates because it's like the toxic part. We just need to get back to the fats. Your body injecting something to get rid of the carbohydrates. That's why we get inflamed. That's why our bodies are going, oh Christ, we need to get rid of this foreign stuff we put in our body so we can get back to digesting the fats. I'm not sure who said that. I need to.
No, I don't know that one, but I know things like if you have orange juice, for example, your body will release enough insulin to, rather than get rid of an orange, to get rid of like an orange tree. And so your body, because of all the processed food we're having and everything's really concentrated, then your body will produce the level of insulin required to get rid of all of the oranges within a glass of orange, rather than like eating an orange. And that's where a lot of the problems come from, because there's sugar hidden in everything, and every time you take something, your body's just constantly releasing insulin to get it out of your system, as you say, get the sugar out of your system.
Yeah, I mean, like with orange juice, that's not a natural product. Orange juice is not. Oranges, an orange fresh is natural. Sarah and I did our DNA test. We did a DNA test to find out where our heritage is. So I'm very much North European, very English, maybe a little bit about Alberia, I think it was. So very much Northern European. We shouldn't eat kiwi fruit. We shouldn't have oranges. We can't process the stuff. It's just our genetics don't allow us to actually process it properly. So,
I might do that.
It's easy. Just do a mouth swab and send it off. I mean, Sarah's very Scandinavian, so even more so, she shouldn't have. So, fructose, the sugar in fruit. If you again, I think one of the other problems that humans do is we don't realise we're actually part of nature. We've removed ourselves. We don't believe that we're animals. We're so clever. Oh, well, that's one of the things Zoe says, isn't it? Humans are the only animals intelligent enough to make food and stupid enough to eat it. Yeah. So with fruit, I'm pointing at my apple trees now. with fruit, fruit comes out in the summer, autumn.
Oh,
we put on weight ready for the winter, and that's how we're supposed to consume. Our food is seasonal for a reason. But because we're so bloody special and clever, we managed to then make fruit available all the way through the year. It's no wonder we're fat, obese, chronically ill, because we're eating stuff we shouldn't be eating at the wrong times of the year.
I mean, when you think about it, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but you're probably roughly the same age as me. And like when you were young, the exotic fruits, I mean, is there such a thing as an exotic fruit now?
Nope.
You know, it's like, if you were lucky, the bananas would be there, and you know, it's like, oh my God, it's exotic. Look, it's a pineapple and it's a mango, and now they're just commonplace.
Yeah. I don't think we can ignore the fact we've evolved over 3.5 million years, pretty much predominantly eating animal fats and browsing for berries and such like. It's only been in the last 100 and whatever years we started processing food, preserving food, and you know, well, even in the last 40 years. I mean, look, we had fat kids at school, but very, very few. You go to the school now, predominantly fat, skinny people. And who's the scientist? Tim Noakes. Do you know Professor Tim Noakes? He was saying when he was at school, he's in his 70s. When he was at school, they had one fat kid. They thought he had cancer. Had one fat kid in his class. They thought he had cancer.
It's amazing. Have you read *Sapiens*, or have you come across the book *Sapiens*?
I get very little chance to read. My reading is in my tractor.
Audiobooks.
Audio saved my life.
Okay, so *Sapiens* on audiobooks is fantastic because he talks about wheat and how you know, wheat domesticated man didn't domesticate wheat, and so it's a really interesting because it goes right back to I think there was 8 different types of humanoid walked the planet at the same time, and Homo sapien kind of, we killed them all off. But it talks about like that, how wheat domesticated man, and then they ended up being all the different variations of wheat, and which is why a lot of people are fine with the really ancient wheats, the spelts and stuff, but they're not so good with the modern wheats because they've all been mixed and processed by us rather than going back to the ancient grains. You know what I'm on about, don't you? It's
absolutely. Yeah.
So this is my background. I know you know me as like the pet gun dog, but my background is completely different, and it's why I talk about energy a lot in the book and talk about, you know, using your energy and common denominator being an animal, because that's, you've just tapped into my background now. So yeah, I would recommend *Sapiens*. It's something like 18 hours worth of listening on audio, but it's fantastic.
Excellent.
But it brings you right the way through from you know, it's like the evolution of man right the way through to modern times, and it's amazing. Tells you a lot.
Good. I think we've ignored who we are because we're so clever, and actually it makes us stupid.
I think I think corporations, big corporations, have taken so much away from us, and lack of accountability, and Tribe. You've got to listen to Tribe. Have you heard of Tribe? That's you would like Tribe because that's all about accountability and tribes. You know, living as tribes again rather than just being on the wheel.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Oh, Jonathan, I can't believe it. The time's just zipped by. It's been so good to talk to you.
Likewise.
And I'm going to talk to you again once I stop recording, but I'm going to end the podcast for now. And it's just been a pleasure. I've learned so many different things. We've just gone off on different tangents, and it's been an absolute joy. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
It's been great. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
See ya.